Teach me?
First learn stand, then learn fly.
Yeah.
Nature ruled on you, son, not the mind.
I know what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to free your mind, Neo. But I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.
What is the most inspiring thing I ever said to you?
Don't be an idiot. Changed my life.
Welcome to the Cybersecurity Mentors Podcast. I'm John Hoyt.
And I'm Steve Higuereta. We are here to be your guides for all things cybersecurity mentorship.
Join us as we explore the stories, insights, and invaluable lessons shared by mentors and mentees alike.
We are here to empower and inspire you on your cybersecurity journey. So get ready for a deep dive into the world of cybersecurity mentorship. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Cybersecurity Mentors Podcast. In today's episode, we will be talking about finding the right mentor and some of the challenges that may come up. To start us off, John, you have a very unique story of kind of how you got into mentorship and some of the struggles you faced while trying to find a mentor.
Yeah, that's right. So this was after high school. I was working at Blockbuster Video, so that tells you how old I am. That gives you a clue. I was working there. I love working at Blockbuster Video. Movies. This is back when VHS tapes, right? And they had DVDs, but they had a lot of VHS tapes. But it was a great, cool place to work. I got 5 free movies a week, right? Which is cool. And one of the guys I worked with, who was the store manager, his name was Jason. And Jason was an interesting character. He was probably one of the fastest typers that I'd ever seen. And he only typed with like the first 3 fingers, his thumb, his pointer finger, and his middle finger. That was all he typed with. And he typed faster than anybody had ever seen. But he was interesting because this is, this is AOL days, right? The internet is starting to be the big thing. And he had his own business with another friend of his that was a guy he went to school with. And at his business, they did computer work. They did side business computer work, right? So I had already pretty much figured out that I wanted to be in computers at this time. The internet, like I said, I was on the internet figuring these things out as everybody was, but I was like, I believe this is the path I want to take. And so here's this guy who I saw once, twice, 3 times a week, and I wanted to learn from him. I was like, dude, teach me everything. Now, I had my first computer, a Packard Bell 486 computer, old school, and I had my first book, which was DOS for Dummies, which was a good book. And I was reading all the things I could find, but you didn't have all the information. You could go Google. There was no YouTube. You could Google, but it was basic. So here's a guy. Here's a mentor. I'm trying to get him to be my mentor. Please, please be my mentor. Teach me anything, right? I'm eager. I'm really wanting to do it. I'm asking him. But unfortunately, he was like, didn't think I was serious, or he was one of those guys that was always busy and just overly busy. And I think he just took it as, well, I just don't have time, right? I don't have time to give up and worried about the commitment maybe of teaching somebody or giving, information. He didn't know where I was. He's probably thinking I'm starting from the ground, which I practically was. So he didn't have time for me, unfortunately. And it was a bit frustrating, but I just kind of kept on. I didn't let it derail me from my path. So fast forward to getting kind of my first real job in computers. I was working at the city of Greenville. This is just before Y2K, so there again, I'm old. And we worked basically my first job was actually getting computers ready for this disastrous event that was going to be Y2K in downtown Greenville. in City Hall on the 3rd floor. And I'm working there, and one of the guys who works there, his name was Rex. And Rex was an old school system administrator. He'd been doing IT work forever. Was big in a little bit of Linux, mostly Novell. He actually hated Windows. He hated Microsoft, but he was a legit system administrator, he knew a lot. And so my goal at that time was to be a server administrator. I was help desk, desktop support, and I wanted to be a server admin. So here's this guy, Rex. And I'm like, Rex, listen, this is what I want to do. How do I get into this? How do I get my experience doing system administration? And he really, again, was in one of those situations. Well, he had a thing where he didn't want to give away information because it would take away some of his power, unfortunately, and his know-how. Like, he was the guy. He knew how everything worked. When something broke, he was the guy you talked to, and he came in, superhero, saved the day. So for me to have a little bit of that knowledge, then he's given some of that power away. He's given away some of that hero, the hero-dom, whatever you call it. And so he was averse to that. But one thing he did do was he hated Microsoft. So we had like 2 Windows servers. And he threw me a bone. He's like, all right, here's 2 Windows servers. He didn't actually know anything about them because he hated Microsoft. But he was like, somebody's got to do it. Here you go. I'll let you get your hands dirty. And if you break it, then it's not me. Well, it's the new guy, right? So he really didn't mentor me because he was scared I was going to take away some of his power in some way, which is weird, right? But it was frustrating for me at that time too. And then really from that, I moved into a full-time, left that company, went and worked in a full-time position as a system administrator, doing Linux and Unix and Windows and Novell and all these things. I was actually the IT person, so I had to do everything. And there was nobody there to mentor me at all because it was just me. I never really found that mentor, unfortunately. I mean, I didn't know how to go about it. If they weren't working for the same company for me, I didn't know what to do to find these people online. There were online things, but it wasn't like, oh, go Google how to find a mentor. Until then I came to Clemson and I had this opportunity to be a mentor, to be a mentor for students. And it was one of those things, it was an eye-opening opportunity for me to be, because I had not had a mentor. And I was like, well, look, I didn't have this, and I don't want to be the person that's not giving away information. I want to be the opposite. I'll tell everybody anything I know. All the lessons I've learned, all the headaches, I'm happy to share that information. And hopefully that's not your experience, for people listening. Hopefully now we're over some of these things of people. There's probably still these kind of people that don't want to share information or don't want to be a mentor because of the time commitment. But we want to talk about this a little bit with you today. And Steve's experience is a little bit different. You want to talk about your experience?
Yes. So mine was the complete opposite. I was very lucky to have found you, John. And so, and you were very open, and we've kind of mentioned this already in some of the episodes, and we will continue to, because it's a great example of what true mentorship mentee relationship is. But when you were faced, with those challenges of not being able to find the right mentor and just kind of having some difficulties, did that change your perception of mentorship in a negative way? Did that kind of put a bad taste in your mouth of just about mentorship overall?
I think what it did for me was change. If I hadn't had those negative experiences, I probably wouldn't be so forthcoming and so open about being a mentor. So I don't think it shaded me to a negative that it wasn't possible. It was frustrating, and I did have challenges finding a mentor, obviously, but it's probably good that those things happen, right? Good that the bad things happen, because it changed my perspective. If I had had a mentor, maybe I wouldn't be so open about this. Maybe I wouldn't be so eager to help others. Honestly, not sure.
No, that's a good answer. I mean, it's like you mentioned, right? My experience was completely different. So, I consider myself very lucky, and I know that some of our listeners might have similar situations to kind of what you described that you had, and others might be more similar to kind of my experience. But I think overall, my experience went very, very well. I was able to be in a situation where someone who was willing to be a mentor um, came to a class I was in, gave a quick presentation, and then just was open to me approaching them afterwards, starting a conversation, asking for guidance, for assistance. And not only that, not only did it stop there, but then also just, later on moving to an internship, and then, you kind of taking me under your wing and being a true mentor. So yeah, it's very different experiences from both of us.
That's good. That's a good thing, right? 'Cause so I think that's good that we can share both sides of the coin, right? Some folks are gonna, maybe they're really fortunate and they're able to, they've had a mentor, they've had that person or mentors, and or they're like me and they've had a challenge finding a mentor and they're not sure what to do and how to do it, how to go about it. And that's what this episode is about really today, is we both have these lessons we've learned and how we can help you find a mentor, right? That's what we're talking about today.
Yes, that is correct. So let's start with our topic for today. Um, in my opinion, I think it all starts with the individual, the person that is looking for the mentor, asking themselves a couple questions, right? What are you trying to get out of this mentorship mentee relationship? Are you, for example, trying to start a career in cybersecurity and you're looking for somebody to kind of help you take that first step? Are you in cybersecurity already and you have built a career and you're just trying to keep evolving, keep growing, keep moving up in terms of positions? Are you looking for someone that can help you get better at a specific topic? For example, pen testing. It really kind of depends on that type of question and answer on what you're trying to look for. That, in my opinion, will help guide you into kind of how and where to look for your mentors. What do you think, John?
Yeah, and I think there's the traditional mentor model that people think of, the master and the apprentice, right? The sensei. And there is that. And those, I would say, are rare, more than likely. If you're lucky enough to have that is rare. It's a good thing, but it's also hard to find. There is I have a specific skill that I'm trying to level up, and you are asking questions and you're trying to get help for that skill. There may be people that you never meet or even talk to directly that can still mentor you. It could be somebody that wrote a book. It could be somebody that has a podcast. It could be anything where they still can help you and you look up to them and you follow their guidance and bounce off what you're doing in your life and where you want to be and your goals with what they are doing and what advice that they are offering. And that's fine too. That's a form of mentorship. There's probably others, but those are kind of the big things I think of. Is I think people get focused on just the one way, and this is what I need, is I got to have this person that's the mentor, the guide, the guru, to be there, and I'm always getting advice from them, and that can happen. But really, I think the commitment, it depends on the commitment levels that on you and your mentor, and whether or not that is really going to work out. You may have a mentor that you get advice from, and then you don't see them again for several years, and you may not connect again, but then you connect and you're back in the groove again. And that's fine too. So I guess what I'm saying is there's different flavors of mentorship. Don't focus on just the one, and that can put you up for a lot of expectations that you're putting out there to the person that you're trying to be your mentor. Of, well, I'm expecting this to be a long-term thing, when it may not be. It may start small. What are your thoughts?
No, I think you make a good point there. I think just having understanding from the very beginning, before you go on your quest to finding the right mentor, what it is, what's the outcome, like what are you trying to get out of this relationship, what are you trying to get out of this connection, and then that will help you find the right person that you're looking for. So let's talk about maybe some of the different ways you can find a mentor. Obviously, with social media now, there are a lot of different channels, different podcasts, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it. There's a lot of groups. There's just a lot of individuals out there who have a lot of good things to say, who have a lot of knowledge. And those are individuals that you could reach out to. You could start conversations with, like you said, even authors, people who have written books, people that have been on podcasts to talk about a specific topic that you're interested. So there's multiple ways for you now with social media specifically to reach out to other individuals.
Yeah, I think people get intimidated about reaching out to others, in that they think, well, this person's they're security famous, right? They've hit the big time. But everybody that I've met that has success in cybersecurity, they want to give back. Not everybody, but I would say most people want to give back. It's a community. That's the good thing about cybersecurity community, is they really want to help others. As you can see, if you go look for all the available resources, but it's it's never going to hurt to reach out. What's the downside is they don't respond, right? What's the worst case scenario? So I would say that is a good approach, is to somebody that you are looking up to, that you want to connect with. But the key is how you craft that request, and how you craft your question, or whatever it is you're trying to get from them. And what are your thoughts on that? How to go about it, Steve?
Yeah, so I have to agree with you there. I think that is very important. And for me personally, I like to think about it from like a business perspective. So when I was going through my MBA and some of my classes there, they were talking about the elevator pitch, right? If you are trying to start a business and you are, in an elevator with a potential investor, potential partner, whoever, the time it takes the elevator to go from one floor to the next, that is how much time you have to pitch an idea, right? So you need to be specific. You need to have, kind of your little speech. And I think that's also very important in cybersecurity. I think when it comes to building relationships, networking, if you are, let's say you are at a conference or at a networking event, and you are meeting people, right? Instead of just going up to someone and saying, "Hi, my name is Steve. I'm in cybersecurity. I work for X organization." Maybe add a little bit more to that, right? Maybe say something like, "Hey, my name is Steve, in cybersecurity, current position, work for X company, but working towards being a CISO." Or saying, trying to get better at pen testing. Just adding a little bit, just a couple extra words to that introductory sentence there will allow the person on the other side to know, oh, this is Steve. He's trying to be a CISO. Oh, and if you're talking to a CISO, they can be like, oh man, I remember my journey of trying to be a CISO and all the things that I went through. And it could work to your benefit, later on as you get their contact information and you reach out. you're going to leave an impression. It's something that they're going to remember you by. It's getting out of that ordinary, like, hey, my name is Steve. I work in security. I work for X company. What do you do? Right? I mean, add a little flavor to it, add a little more to it, add something that people will remember. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, somebody says, "Hey, I want to be a CISO." My first question is, "Why do you want to be a CISO?" Do you know what a CISO does? You might not know. It may not be what you think it is. But I mean, that is great because then you're starting a conversation. Okay, tell me about it. Why do you want to be a CISO? I'll give you an example of how this can work. So yeah, that's maybe if you're in person, you're meeting people, which is some backup points to that. Be out there, be networking, and get out there to meet people, right? Because that's the best way to make connections and to network and to potentially find these people. But say for example, one of the examples I could use is that Ed Scotus. So Ed, he's longtime, SANS instructor. He's prolific, right? He's done all kinds of things. And I'd seen him at SANS many times at conferences. And he's a great presenter. He does a great job. He makes it interactive. It's interesting. And I was like, man, I would really like to learn just some tips about how he approaches his presenting. What are some tricks that he would recommend? Things like that, right? So, I'm really nobody. And so I just messaged Ed and said, "Hey, Ed, here's who I am. Here's what I'm trying to do. I really appreciate your presentation style and how you go about things. Do you have anything you would recommend? Is there any books you would recommend or classes or whatever?" Right. And he replied back. He came back and he was very polite, very thankful. And that's the thing, you're giving them, you're validating them, right? Somebody sends you a message like that. Somebody sends me an email like that. I'm going to be like, that's cool. Thank you. If they're sincere, right? Sincerity has a smell. If you're not being sincere and there's something fishy about it, people pick up on that normally. But you're being sincere and somebody sends me that kind of message, I'm going to be happy to reply. You don't get that kind of email every day. And happy to give back. So that's what he did. He just recommended, I think he recommended a couple of books. He recommended Toastmasters, which you probably hear a lot about. And I was like, that's awesome. So thank you. I thanked him. And then with this one, there wasn't as much follow up because I hadn't seen him again or anything. But if somebody does give you some things that are advice or go do this or whatever, it's always great and really makes us kind of solidifies that connection. If you do the thing, whatever that thing is, whatever the advice is, you do that thing. And then you reply back to them and say, "Hey, thank you for this advice. I did this thing and it really helped. This book was awesome. Thanks for the tip." Boom. Right. And that could be it. That could be all the end of your whole mentorship with that person. Or it could be the start. And now you've shown this potential mentor, this person listens, this person's eager, this person takes my advice. They tried it out. They took initiative to connect with me, and then they took more initiative to follow up. And those are all the good things that a mentor is looking for, right? They're looking for those attributes. If you give advice as a mentor and you never hear back from them, then you're like, well, I guess, there goes that person, right? But if they do that whole process, then they get back to you and you're like, oh, okay. The next time they have a question, I'm more likely to connect back with them or reply or give them more advice, or maybe it's a stepping stone to build the relationship further. What are your thoughts, Steve?
I think you summed it up great. I mean, I don't think I have much more to add to that. I think you gave a great example and of something that you have done yourself and works. And just I will add to that in terms of just examples, right? There have been situations where I have had to reach out to individuals, right? That for some reason, one way or another, I just felt, I don't know, I felt a little nervous about reaching out to them, right? And I was honest upfront with, kind of my initial message and reaching out to the reason for me reaching out. But kind of to go with the example that you just gave, right? I was honest, I was sincere. I appreciated what they were doing. I appreciated what they considered important, and I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to help. I wanted to participate. And just reaching out to them, just just reaching out. I mean, even though I was like nervous about it and unsure what to say and how to get the conversation started, I just reached out to them, just introduced myself, told them what I was doing, right? What I was doing myself about in regards to this topic, and how I appreciated what they were doing in some of their work. And my question was, how can I do more, right? How could I be more involved? How could I be more helpful? Um, and they responded. And I think people are maybe a little intimidated or afraid that you may reach out to somebody and then you might get a rejection, or you may be ignored. Most of the time that doesn't happen, to be honest. At least it hasn't happened to me. Most of the time, even if it's a simple response, people usually get back to you, right? If you are approaching them with sincerity, with honesty, and if you're being real. So I don't. That's one of my biggest things here for finding the right mentor. When it comes to reaching out to individuals that you would like to start a conversation with, that you would like to start a potential mentor-mentee relationship with, always be honest. Never be afraid to reach out. Be confident, and be sincere with the reason you are reaching out to them. And surprisingly, you will find out that if they're the right individual for you, they will reach back out. If they are interested in what you are saying and what you're trying to build and to get to, they will reach out to you, and then that'll allow you to start a conversation with those individuals.
Yeah, and we're not saying, I think if you look at what the ask is, it's not, hey, here's this paragraph, here's my story, and here's why I'm having a hard time, or I'm really need help, or I'm so cool, look at me. You're not sending them 3 pages or whatever, just even 3 paragraphs. It's something specific. It's usually you've done your homework. That's the best thing. You've done your homework. You know about them. Whatever they've offered out there that's free-ish, right? You maybe looked into that already. Maybe they've got a video on it. Hey, I watched your video. So it's specific, and your ask is specific. And it's not, hey, I want you to be my mentor. It's usually just, hey, it's a relationship building. You're trying to build a relationship, just like anything. If you come across needy in a relationship, it's people pick up on that quickly. And if you have a crush on this person, a mentor crush, people are like, that's weird. It's a little weird, right? You don't want to you want to come off weird. You want to come off like, hey, I'm sincere and I'm humble and I'm asking for help, not I'm needy and I haven't really done my homework and I really just want you to solve my problem.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. You're right there. I say we are not looking for someone to solve our problems. We are looking for someone that is going to help us get from point A to point B. Again, the very first thing I said, right? You have to know, you have to have an idea, at least an idea of what you're trying to get out of this mentorship relationship. Are you hoping that they can help guide you and give you tips and tricks to get from point A to point B? Then that is the right way to approach it. But no one is going to come in and solve your problems. No one's going to come in and give you all the answers to a cert exam you're about to take. Like, that's just not going to happen, right? They may give you resources. They may help, maybe tell you about their experience when they took that certification, maybe give you extra resources that they use when they were doing that, or that they are aware of, or just kind of helping prepare you even more than the work that you've already done. And I think that's key. You have to show that you've actually done some work, and you're not just coming straight to them and hoping that they will tell you and give you everything, because that's just not going to work.
Yeah, you just be prepared. Reach out, be humble, have a plan, follow up, be specific in your ask. You do these things and try it. Just try it. Just don't be afraid to try it. And I bet you'll be surprised how much you can start building that relationship and connection. And so I think once you get that first connection and they reply back, they reply back. Oh, right. And then you start building that path and building that relationship. And then finally, maybe it matures into a more, maybe there's like the small bit, and then it matures into a more frequent conversation where you're talking, and maybe you get on a call and you talk about things, and somebody's they're there to help with you. What are your thoughts on that relationship and the path and the building it up into the next level?
Yeah, so it's just adding to kind of what you just said, right? It's taking it slow, right? I mean, you have to build the relationship. It's like anything. You have to build that relationship, and that comes with a little bit of time, right? You're not just going to meet someone today and tomorrow they agree to be your mentor. It could happen. I mean, it could happen, and that would be amazing. But most of the time, that's not how that works. You have to build that relationship, continue the conversation. That example you gave, and kind of what you've been saying, John, about, reach out to them, do your homework, reach out to them. If they do give you some resources, if they do give you some feedback, actually try it, actually read the book, actually watch the video, actually go to the conference, right? Do the things that they have advised you to do. Give it a try, give it a shot. It may not work. That's a possibility. It may not work. It may not be the right thing for you, but you're still thankful and you're still grateful, right? And you still reply back and you said, you know what? I watched that video you sent me. It was amazing. It answered all the questions I had. Or, hey, thank you for watching that video. It was very informative. I'm still a little unsure about XYZ, right? Because they may have even more information than they can share with you. At that point, they might say, okay, well, that video didn't work. Let's just jump on a quick call and see what he's actually asking, see what they are actually needing or wanting. And then I can maybe go back to my toolbox and, send them some more stuff. So, it's just communicating, continuing that communication. Also, like you said, and I'm going to repeat this because this is also very important. Don't be needy. Don't come off as needy. I think if, you put all of those things, you connect all of those dots, and you will be successful. So some of the, well, let me go back to you, John. Do you have any additional, I guess, strategies for building a successful relationship with a mentor?
I think just do all that and just rinse and repeat. Just cycle through it, try those things, and keep on. And imagine you're not dating this person, but imagine you're building a relationship. You got to get to know each other slowly but surely, and you get to know each other. And then maybe it matures into a full on, where it doesn't have to be a friendly relationship, but it is a mentor-mentee relationship. But you have a regular conversation, you're going back and forth, and then maybe it matures all the way to a full on, okay, I'm meeting with this person on a X amount, every week, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever. And we have accountability meetings. where they're giving me things to do and I'm coming back and I'm checking in and I have questions. It can mature all the way to like a official mentor, real mentor. I say real, it's not real. It's maybe the highest level of apprenticeship where you are directly interacting with them on a regular basis.
Yeah. So just to share, so I do mentoring on the side out of this podcast, and when I start those relationships, or when somebody reaches out to me and they say, "Hey, Steve, watch this," or that you were in, really enjoyed it, or "Hey, I have a couple questions about this," or "I saw you have a presentation on this." Um, I enjoy mentorship, right? It's done amazing things for me. I love to give back to the community, so I'm always open to answer any sort of questions. But um, I start off by asking the person, what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? Where are you now? Where are you trying to go? And then I'm very honest. If I feel like I can help them, I will definitely help. If I think that maybe somebody a little more qualified or with a little more experience, like John, is the right person for them, I would refer them to John. I would introduce them to John or to others, right? Others that I may know of that may be key individuals in that field, in that area, in that topic. But I try to get to know the individual, right? And this is this is me from the mentor side of things, right? But here I am, someone who loves this, that loves to do this. So on the opposite side, if you're a mentee who is approaching someone who you would like to be a mentor, but you are unaware or unsure if they've mentored before, right? You want to get to know them even more than I guess the bits and pieces that you've seen online, if that's how you found out about them, or if you met them at a conference, whatever it is. But you want to start, just kind of building that relationship small, and from there letting it grow organically. Don't force it. But yeah, it's kind of a give and take, I would say. Do you agree, John?
Yeah, I think that once you get to that point and somebody says, "Hey, I really feel like there's a lot I can learn from you. Would you be open to a regular just getting together and building that actual mentor-mentee relationship?" It's a lot to ask on both sides, and so being upfront, understanding the goals, like you said, of what each person has. It definitely helps if you've already shown the previous things we've discussed that they're looking at you and saying, okay, this person, they're humble, they're eager, they're listening to advice. And again, maybe you're not the right person. Maybe they're looking for somebody that is going to get them to a certain track in the path, and you just don't have that much experience in that area as a mentor. So it's okay if you're a mentee to, well, one, I would say do your homework and make sure that this is the right person for the thing that you're asking them. If you're looking for elite level red teamer, that's what you want to be, and you're talking to somebody that's more rounded or not even in that path, that doesn't make sense, right? So making sure that you're all on the same page, you're thinking through what you can take this to, and being open about what the goals are, so that way you know what you're trying to get toward, right? If it's, hey, I'm new to this, I don't have a job in cybersecurity, and I want to, my goal would be to land my first job in cybersecurity. Well, that's a pretty clear thing to get help with, to work through, right? Working through the questions. And so it's easier for a mentor to look at that and say, okay, I know what you're trying to do. Here's how I can help you, right? If it's more, I really don't have a clear goal, I'm just trying to just get better, that's tougher. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's harder. So I think just having those conversations together, being open together, good communication, right? As always, good communication and don't set expectations that are not realistic.
Yes, that's very important. So I'd like to add a couple things that kind of help uh, maintain a good relationship, and this just adding on to what you just said about goals and expectations. I think being open with each other at all times, even if things aren't going well. Let's say you get to the point where you both agree, hey, let's keep this going, and it comes to the point where you feel like, okay, think uh, I think we've gotten to the end of the road here. Meaning you feel like maybe you've reached your goal and you're kind of done, or maybe you feel like this mentor, after talking to them for a while, you think, well, I don't think maybe this is the right fit for me. It is okay to say that. It is okay to have that conversation, be open and say, you know what, I was really looking for something in this area, this side of things, but it doesn't seem to be working. One of the big things is time. Figuring out when two professional individuals can meet on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. It's a lot harder than you think, especially when you have two professionals, busy schedules, families. It's not easy. So sometimes I see that being the biggest issue, where a mentor-mentee relationship is just not quite functioning how it should. And it's just because, the timing is off. Being unable to set, specific time every so often, that can hurt, because especially if there's a lot of cancellations or a lot of, hey, can we just push this back a day or push this up an hour, down an hour? And once in a while, that's fine. Life happens. But if it's constant, then that's going to make things a lot difficult. So maybe getting back together, being open, communicating, and regrouping, that can help kind of solve that issue. I think some of the other obstacles or challenges that may come up that may prevent a relationship like this continuing to improve and evolve is feedback. You have to be open for feedback. Feedback is so important on both sides, from the mentor side and the mentee side, right? And this goes back to communication and being open and being honest. If you are unable to give each other feedback, then that's going to be a problem. And you may think, hey, I'm the mentee. I'm here trying to learn from my mentor. I don't feel comfortable giving them feedback. You should, right? Because this is a relationship, right, where both of you are trying to work on it. Both of you are getting something out of it, whether you believe it or not. That's something that I always hear too, is mentees are always thinking like it's always the mentor giving, and the mentee's not giving anything back. You're wrong. As a mentor, I learn a lot from my mentees, right? Even if I am the one in the room that has more cybersecurity experience than the other, right? Everybody has their own life story. Everybody has gone through different challenges. They have gone through different things to get to where they are today. And you would be surprised what you can learn from someone else. But just being open to give each other feedback, good or bad. But again, right, we're going to be professional about this, not trying to stomp over someone else or anything like that. That's not who we are, and that's not going to get you very far in any sort of industry. But being able to give each other feedback, being able to have open communication, sharing, how each other is doing and how each other thinks, this relationship is moving forward or backwards.
Yeah, so imagine you've got your call with Steve, and we're going to get on a call together. We're going to powwow, and you show up, and Steve's like, "What you got for me? What would you like to discuss today?" And you're like, I thought you were going to give me all this wisdom. I'm just here for the wisdom, man." And being prepared, right, is part of that. It could be, and you might not have anything to talk about. You may not have like, hey, I'm good right now. I'm just trucking through this whatever certification. I'm trucking through this course. I don't really have any questions. I think it's going well, and that's okay. Short call. Thanks. Awesome. But if that's always your call, then kind of what's the point? But I think eventually you're going to have those kind of things. But being prepared ahead of time when you talk to your mentor in any way, of like, I'm here. You finally made this connection. You finally got somebody to talk to. You don't have to be a full plan, but have a plan. These are the things I'm interested in. This is what I'm trying to do. Like we talked about what your goals are, but also when you have those regular meetings, right? This is what I did this week. I struggle when you have like the struggles. Okay, I need to write this down. I had a struggle with this thing. Let me ask my mentor about this the next time we talk, right? And just even the ups and the downs, whatever's going on, your mentor wants to know usually how it's going. How are you on your journey? How's that? The next step, is it happening for you? Or are you having struggles? Can I help you with that? Usually it's, what can I do to help you with your journey on your goals and your goals? And so that was just something that I thought about as you're thinking through some of those challenges. If you're not prepared and you're showing up unprepared, and your mentor's there to help you, but what are we talking about here? What are we going to discuss?
Yeah, and this goes back to what we talked about at the kind of beginning of the podcast, where um, you know, a lot of the mentorship relationships that I see that are successful and the most common that I see nowadays revolve around a topic and a goal, right? So, for example, some of the uh, mentees that I am working with currently, they're new to cybersecurity. They're trying to get their foot in the door. They're trying to learn the basics. They're trying to it's basically they're changing careers. They're going from having a successful career in a different area, and for whatever reason, they now are interested in cybersecurity. They want to get their foot in the door in cybersecurity. So they're completely starting over. And there's a lot of basic fundamental items that we're going through and we're learning. So those kinds of calls are there's always something there to talk about, right? There's always something that they have questions on, or just feedback on some assignments or reading or review that they did the week or the previous time before. But if you do have an end goal or a topic that you're trying to achieve, right, then that mentor relationship can be very successful because you have a start and an end. And when you get to that end and you've gone through all that work together, your ups and downs, your wins, your losses, and then you finally get to the point where, hey, I'm working really hard to get my Security Plus certification. You work really hard, you get there, you pass, and you have your Security Plus cert. That's amazing. I mean, that right there is a huge win. And from that moment in time, then as the mentee, you're like, okay, well, what's my next goal? Oh, my next goal is to now look for a job, an entry level job in cybersecurity, right? And then that's what you're trying to do. And that's something that I like to help with too. So right then and there, we can just continue that mentorship relationship. But if that was just, if life happened and kind of at the end of that, things kind of changed for me and I no longer had that time, or if that was just an area where I wasn't very capable or sure of, then I could refer them to someone else, or I could say, hey, John, he's got great connections. Well-known individual in the industry, go have a chat with him and get his feedback, his thoughts on resume, on cover letter, whatever it may be. Right. And then that right there, that's another goal. That's another item that you are going after that you can use either the same mentor or a different mentor or someone else to help guide you and kind of help you for that. And it's these like small wins, right, that I see that are very successful on and keep both the mentee and the mentor kind of moving forward and going. So that's kind of my experience.
Yeah, I like small victories. Just keep on moving. Don't worry. Don't think about the big picture. I mean, think about the big picture, but don't get too focused on the big picture. And that's what a good mentor can help you with. is, tell me, what do you want? What is it you want to do? What are you trying to do? Why do you want to do it? And focus more, hone that goal down, the bigger goal. And then, okay, how do we break this up into steps to help you get there? Right. And as we said several times, you could have a mentor or mentors, right? It could, your relationship with a mentor could come, it could be a very short term or it could be a long term, and then you move on, and that's okay, right? It's okay to have many mentors. You should have a goal of having many mentors, and that's fine too. So yeah, I think, and one thing I thought about when we're talking about this, we're talking a lot about how to find a mentor, but I would also encourage folks, you may be surprised how you can be a mentor. There's, if you have any steps in your journey, any lessons learned, you probably have things that you can share with people that are new. There's always going to be somebody new in their journey. And even if it's just a tip or, hey, I did this, don't do this, that's okay. Or it could be more formal. Like I didn't go into, thinking I was going to be a mentor. I didn't really know that was going to happen, but it did. And it changed my life, changed my career. And, so I was open to it when I kind of saw that opportunity. I was like, oh, okay, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Right. But that's not for everybody, but you can still be open to help others, right? Be open to give back and give information. So as you're moving up your journey, even if you're being mentored, you still can mentor back. You can still give back down.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, John. I think people sometimes think, "Oh, I'm still so new. I just have a couple years under my belt." Well, there is someone who is starting their journey who has 0 years under their belt, and they are just trying to get started. And any tips and tricks, like you said, that you could share will be a huge, just be a huge thing for them. So yes, please consider that. Right, we're in an industry in cybersecurity that changes all the time. What's new today will be old tomorrow. So there's always area for us to give back. But let's finish up. Let's summarize with a couple things here. So just again, some of the key takeaways, right? Not all mentorship journeys will be the same. And we learned that from the very beginning. John shared his story, and I shared a little bit of mine. But that doesn't mean that you can't find a mentor. And some of the ways you can do that is, again, using some of the social media platforms out there, joining online communities, going to professional events, networking events, conferences, you name it, putting yourself out there, and just being able to, build those relationships, communicate, all that will help you and kind of help you along the way in your mentorship journey.
That's it. That sounds good. I think that's good. I think that wraps it up. So you can find a mentor, even though I struggled through my journey. It's out there. It's easier than it was for me, for sure, which is great. That's what this podcast is about, is helping you do this. Also on Discord, how we're connecting with others, trying to help out them and help them connect with others. So go out there, do it, try it. It's not going to hurt, right? The worst that can happen is you don't get a response back. That's okay, right? That doesn't mean they don't like you. Doesn't mean that they don't have the time for you. Maybe they don't have the time for you, but that's okay. Just keep on trying. There's lots of people out there that could be your mentor in a small way or a big way. And all you will know is if you try and then you connect and then do these things that we've talked about.
Yeah. So if you have any other questions, if you want to share your stories, if you want to connect with us, please reach out to us on our Discord. We'd be happy to talk to you, to hear kind of your feedback. And yeah, with that, we'll end it for today. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you. See you later.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Cybersecurity Mentors podcast.
Remember to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you get all the episodes. Join us next time as we continue to unlock the secrets of cybersecurity mentorship.
Do you have questions or topics you'd like us to cover? Or do you want to share your journey? Join us on Discord at Cybersecurity Mentors Podcast and follow us on LinkedIn. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, I'm John Hoyt.
And I'm Steve Higuereta.
Thank you for listening.